So this first video is going to show you how to set up your test sessions in MAP. You'll need to first log in to the NWEA MAP website, and once you do, you're going to see a page that looks like this. Now, for those of you who are somewhat familiar with NWEA from before, this page looks a little different. It's their new layout, so they have made some changes. You'll go here to MAP Growth. From there, you'll click on Manage Test Sessions. Now, for most of you who are watching this, you're probably going to be testing your own class. So there's a very, very easy way for you to get these test sessions started. You go find students to test, and what it's going to do is it's going to bring up a page that looks like this. Your school, whatever grade level it is that you're testing, your name, and then your class. Now, in most circumstances, we usually pick the attendance because that's typically what's rostered through Teams, and sometimes, depending on the situation, you may have students logged in your attendance that might not be logged in certain classes. So we'll click on the attendance roster, and then we don't have to put anything under last name, first name, or anything like that. But if you were testing some other student that may not be in your class, this is how you could add those students in. We'll click Search. When you do that, what happens is it brings up your roster, either one or two pages. All of the students should be checked off, at least the students that you're going to be testing, and you'll click Add Students. Once you've added those students, they will show up towards the bottom of this page under Student List. You'll notice that these tabs here, they are not lit up, they're not colored, they're kind of like grayed out. Once you click this checkbox, either for all of the students or for specific students, those boxes will turn darker gray and then be highlighted blue. Follow the order that you see these boxes in, and you'll understand in a minute what I mean. We're going to start first with assigning the test. When I click Assign Test, you're going to get this huge list of all the tests that NWEA offers. In our school district, we work with the growth screeners. So we don't come down here to screening, and we don't come down here to the skills checklists. We only work with growth. So this was a third grade class that I chose. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assign growth, math, 2 through 5. And then I'm going to hit Assign. Now what you should see happen is here in this column where my cursor is, all of these students have been assigned that test. Now the next step is assigning accommodations. You have to have a test assigned before you can assign accommodations to the test. So let's say I'm just going to click on some random students. These students need accommodations. I have those students checked off, and I can go to Assign Accommodations. I will scroll to where it says Accommodations for Students with Documented Needs. As you know, we don't have reading passages read to students. It's only answer choices, directions, and then prompts. So you'll make sure those are checked off. You'll hit Assign, and what you're going to see is it's going to change here. These students now have accommodations assigned to them. That's how that works for testing. Now, what if you forget a student that needs accommodations? It's very easy for you to come back to this list and assign those accommodations to the student. So don't worry about that if you forgot to make those assignments. Now, in a lot of cases, teachers like to go ahead and set their test sessions in advance before they test. But I will tell you, you can do this two ways. Now that you have these students assigned, you have the test assigned, you can come back and check on all of these students. You have to make sure you check all of them. And you could hit Test Now. Or you can hit Save Test Session. If you hit Test Now, it's going to start the test, It will give you a username, and it will give you a little passcode for the students. They'll be able to go in and start testing. But for those of you who want to save the session, you'll hit Save Test Session. You'll give it a name. We usually do subject. We pick a teacher, and sometimes I'll put fall or spring. It's really up to you. Try to keep it pretty simple because the students will have to type this in whenever they do go to test. You hit Save and Exit. Now, once you've done that, how do you go back to that test session? Well, if you look at this screen, right here it says Saved Testing Sessions. If you hit Show, you will see any of the test sessions that you have already saved. Can you save students to more than one test session? Yes, you can. Students cannot test in more than one session at a time, but you can save multiple test sessions that have the same students in them. So it's sometimes suggested, go ahead and do all of your test sessions that you're going to give, save them all here, that way you can use them as you go. Okay, now when you're ready, you click on the test, and you can hit Test Now. And what it does is it brings up the session name and the password. This is the information you would write down on the board for the students. They will use this information to get into the test. Once they've signed in, found their name and their test session, it's going to say to be confirmed. And you're going to see where it says total students here, to be confirmed. This number is going to start increasing every 30 seconds. You can wait until all students have signed in and all students are ready to be confirmed, and then you can click confirm, or you can confirm students as they're coming into the system. It does not matter which way you do it. All students will say awaiting here under status until they have signed in. Once they've signed in, it will say here to be confirmed. Once you confirm the student, it will then say here under status testing, and the question numbers will start increasing as they're going through the questions. So when you're in a test session like this, there's no reason to not know where your students are and to see how quickly some are moving compared to others. That's how you go ahead and you take care of a test session. And on a little side note, it does even say here, if you need to add a student into a session once it's already started, you can do that just by clicking this Add Student here. It brings you back to this page and you follow the same steps. For this, in this instance, you would go ahead and you type in last name and first name and hit search, and then you would add the student to that session.